Okay, let's just dive right in. Today, we're doing a rapid, super simple 2-minute summary of a fascinating 2025 research paper. It basically maps out this massive, critical shift in how we think about global development, specifically moving from sustainable to regenerative development. We're going to distill all this complex research down to show you exactly why our current models are kind of failing us, and more importantly, where we urgently need to head next. So let's get into it.
So, why is sustainability suddenly no longer enough? It's a tough question, right? Because for decades, that was the gold standard. But we aren't just facing isolated emergencies anymore. Researchers actually argue we're currently in a meta-crisis, which is basically a massive web of compounding global issues. And for so long, sustainability has really just focused on harm reduction, essentially just doing less bad. But the data is showing us that simply trying to maintain this static balance, it's just no longer cutting it.
Just to put this into perspective, the numbers tell a pretty stark story. Shockingly, only 17% of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals are actually on track for 2030. 17%! That means over a third are completely stalled out or literally moving backward. The conventional sustainability model, which focuses heavily on regulatory compliance and basic efficiency, is stagnating. Half measures just aren't working anymore. We absolutely need a totally systemic transformation here.
And this really perfectly illustrates the massive pivot we need to make. Think about it like this. Sustainability is traditionally reactive. It's all about minimizing damage, holding the line, and maintaining a baseline. Regeneration, on the flip side, is totally proactive. It focuses on this concept of aliveness and systemic vitality. It's not about just scraping by and surviving. It's about actively healing and continuously activating the absolute full potential of living systems. It's a real game changer.
But to actually make this shift, we need to develop an entirely new regenerative mindset. And researchers broke this down into 5 core traits. First, holism, being able to actually see interconnected ecosystems. Then mutualism, which is all about cooperative relationships. We also need reflexivity, meaning continuous adaptation. Diversity, obviously, for totally different perspectives. And finally, agency, to empower real ground-up action. So we're not just talking about new tools here. It's literally an entirely new way of thinking.
Now you might be wondering, where is this actually happening in practice? Well, when analyzing over 1,000 documents, researchers found the whole movement basically falls into 3 main clusters: design, urban renewal, and natural regeneration. But there is a catch. Right now, about 70% of the current literature is purely theoretical. In fact, only natural regeneration, think things like ecology and forestry, currently has a firm evidence-based foundation to stand on.
So how do we move regeneration from just being this cool buzzword into actual reality? The researchers highlight a few really urgent mandates. First off, we desperately need empirical data and context-specific metrics to actually measure this vitality in things like business and urban planning. And crucially, absolutely crucially, we have to center indigenous wisdom. We need to treat these traditional worldviews as the fundamental intellectual origins of regeneration, not just, some afterthought. We have to move beyond just using tools and step into entirely new ways of being.
All of this leaves us with one incredibly powerful question. Are we satisfied with merely surviving? Or are we truly ready to thrive and co-create a world that literally comes alive again? Because at the end of the day, regenerative development doesn't replace sustainability. It just expands it so life can continuously flourish. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks you to look beyond just sustaining and start thinking about regenerating.